recapping, the Celtics won a second game against the Brooklyn Nets over the last few days. They're now 2-2 against the Nets since Kristaps Porzingis returned. KP's been balling out. I'm your boy Adam Taylor. I'm joined by my homie compadre, co-host in crime, Mr. Wayne Breezy from Bleacher Report. What is popping, Wayne?
Nothing much, man. Good win. Good win without your two stars playing, right? And so you got a chance to watch the rest of the stars, the rest of the all stars, former all stars, get a chance to go out there and figure out how they're going to win. I like what I saw. I did. I like what I saw from the Celtics without Tatum, without Jalen Brown. So it's going to be, pretty fun matchup to see how the Celtics down the stretch continue to rest some of those guys.
Can we all take a moment for just give D'Angelo Russell a moment of silence? Because that dude got hunted to within an inch of his life by Porzingis in both games. Both games, Kristaps was just hunting that dude like he was cannon fodder. I just want to just take a moment, man, because that must be some humbling shit. Poor D'Lo, man, he's had it rough the last few years, man. KP made him look silly.
Hey man, it's just part of the game, and it's part of Kristaps Porzingis' game. He's looking like the team's done it to us for years. Like they'll go
Yeah.
and hunt smaller guards. That's why probably Ainge at the time, Brad Stevens, they want to go with these wings, right? They want to go with these bigger players so that the switching and the rotation isn't as devastating out there on
It's
the basketball court.
devastating, dude. So
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone saw this. I actually put out some stuff about it the other day. I should really do a video breakdown because it was super interesting. But it got to the point over the weekend, on the weekend's game against Brooklyn, where the Nets started trying to hide D'Lo in the weak side corner. So what Missoula did was he put Kristaps down in that corner and said to Kristaps, "We're not going to try and get you to catch and shoot. Once the ball starts getting swung around the perimeter, cut out of that corner and then just post up D'Lo straight away because they're trying to hide him. We're going to exploit him. We're going to cut off that corner straight into a post up, feed you, and now you've got the mismatch." They did it a couple of times. Six Nets try and then zone up on the corner with somebody else. What happens? They just run a quick screen to get Kristaps switch back onto D'Lo, cut off the corner straight into a post up, man. And I get it. I do. I understand why 3 and D wings and why two-way forwards are at such a premium around the league is because of the versatility they bring. But man, seeing KP come back off an 8-game absence where he's like, no one knows what's wrong with the cat. He's talking about this is the worst he's ever been. His fitness is all sorts of messed up, and he just cooks you like that. That must be a tough pill to swallow.
It's got to be a tough pill to
Gotta
swallow.
be,
You,
man.
you talk
Gotta
about a
be.
guy that he played 29 minutes last night, and I mean, he shot 9 for 13 from the floor, man. 69.2%. Just looking at him, he's 1 for 4 from the three, but he took some extra long threes too. Like right, like KP, why that far back? Like dang, but nah. It was really good seeing him out there on the basketball court, and he led the team in scoring with 25, and that's what you need, man. Like you go back to the big three. Like I feel like the Celtics originated that term, right? You go KG, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and you look at the new wave of the big three. And we've watched teams replicate the big three, where they'll get three big superstars to come together, like when LeBron went to Miami. And you're looking at the Heat, the Celtics and their big three. I think KP adds that key element that the Celtics need to make the playoff experience a little different. And I'm not gonna say easier, but definitely a little different. And not much of KP last year in the playoffs. And this year, if he's healthy as he says he is, and he's good to go, this is nothing but a bonus to me for the Boston Celtics. I think the Celtics can take any team, 7 games if they have to. But when you add the KP element, this is what Kendrick Perkins was talking about when we lost to the OKC Thunder the other night. And he was saying, man, listen, they don't have KP out there on the floor, which changes the game. It changes the spacing. It allows the Celtics to do different things, the way they drive, the way they pass, the way it's just different. And, all the OKC fans got mad because they didn't have Jay Will out there and they were missing a player too. Yeah, but those pieces still go complementary to what you're doing. Like KP literally changes the way the Celtics attack, the way they defend. It's just a different ball game. So for the first time, Kendrick Perkins going for KP and Kristaps Porzingis, like I never thought I'd see it in a day, man. I was like, wow, he actually made sense.
I tell you, for one, when that happens, it's rare. It does happen from time to time, though, right? And I try and compartmentalize things like this, right? So yeah, OKC we're missing a guy, but it's kind of like when your lady getting ready to go out and say she's run out of her favorite lipstick, but she still has other lipstick, right? So she's gonna wear lipstick no matter what. It's just not the one that she wants.
Right.
That's when you're missing a J Will. That's when you're missing a high level rotation goal. Your favorite one's not there, but you've got reserves. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. You might not look just as good as you wanted to, but you're gonna look good. Now, the flip side of that is when your lady trying to get ready and now she ain't got no foundation and she's sending you to the store to try because like she's like, I can't go nowhere because I can't do what I gotta do. That's the KP of it all, right? That's the not having Porzingis where it's like, oh damn, a foundational piece of what I need to be where I want to be is not in it's not in my toolkit right now. It's not available. So I don't know what I'm meant to do. And that's kind of the difference, right? Like you're always going to have somebody that can step up and fill a rotation player spot. Now, I get that Jay Will is an elite rotation player, but he's a rotation player. You don't get that same courtesy when you're trying to fill the third star on a contending team's role. Now, the Celtics do a great job of it. Luke Cornett steps into that role, does a great job in like keeping things flowing, keeping things above water. Nemi's done a good job of it. Horford's excellent. But as Perk said, and as you kind of built on, KP just unlocks things in that rotation that don't exist otherwise. That 5-out offense it's good when you've got Luke there, but he's a non-shooting threat. So you have to run slot 5 where you put Luke in the weak side and you ask him to be a playmaker. You don't have that same like that oh shit factor as like oh shit Porzingis is open. He's just caught the ball. He can cook us from there. It's a different level of spacing. It's just a different level of execution from jump when he's in that rotation and everybody's healthy, they're just on a new level, and it's a level that everyone can talk about. The Celtics beat injured teams last year in the postseason.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell went down in Cleveland. Tyrese Halliburton went down. There was no Jimmy. Whatever you want to point out, cool. The Celtics didn't have KP for like 90% of the games that they won. You know what I mean? So when everyone's like, oh, teams in the East have caught up this year, Cleveland looked scary and New York and whatever, cool. But KP might be healthy. So doesn't that kind of level things back out to just about where we were last season anyway? That's
Yeah.
kind of my pushback.
And that that's the big thing, right? And so like going back to this game and watching KP just out there, literally dominating, right? Like that's what he did. Like and he knew, all right, guys, I tell you what, y'all continue to do what you do. I'll put the team on my back. We'll go ahead and get this done.
Hmm.
And that is like who my question in this game was who was gonna step up? Was we going to get a big shooting game from Derek White? He did finish with 18, but was we going to get that big scoring game from Derek White? What was Drew Holiday going to do? Even though he had a big game the game before, right? Was it going to be consistent? How was the bench going to react? Because to me, the biggest question mark for the Boston Celtics, just in every game, is who's going to show up from the bench. And I do want to take a moment and highlight probably a player, a rookie. Let's highlight the rookie. Let's highlight Baylor Shireman. All right, let's talk about him. Let's talk about what he did. We got to find a way to get this kid more minutes because if his, I could have swore we did a show and I said let the kid play because it'll build his confidence. And once he gets shooting, he's a better version of Sam Hauser, better defender. And if he can shoot, oh shoot, like right.
Oh shit. The thing with Baylor, right, is he's not just a better version of Sam because I think that's unfair to Sam. But
That
I
is
get,
unfair.
but
But
I get what people are saying. But
as
he's
far as
just
consistency, like
yeah.
that's what I mean.
He's also more of a complete player. So and people that haven't like I watched a bunch of his college tape after the Celtics drafted him. He's a better playmaker. He can create for himself off the bounce. He can create for others. You can run pick and roll with him as the ball handler. He can screen. He can rebound. He's like a
And
real
that makes him a better player.
yeah. He's just but I'm on about just as a better shooter. But as an
No,
overall talent, like
right. But
yeah,
that's the role he has to fill because that's Sam Hauser's role right now.
yeah.
Like that's his spot. Like you know what I'm saying. And so like Sam, this can light a fire under him. We need Sam. I need Sam to go back to being the Sam we had in the playoffs,
Yeah.
where he looked like, yo, you could try to muscle me up, whatever, but I'm gonna stick to you like flies on, like that's what I'm going to do. But but we do allude to the injuries. We talked about Sam Hauser and his injuries, but this is a bonus for the Boston Celtics if they can get something out of their rookie Baylor Shireman.
Yeah, he needs to be, and it won't be this year. Let me just
For
kind of
sure,
tell.
for
It
sure, for
won't be
sure.
this year at all. We are talking about next season, the season after. But I think there's something there. And if you look at what he brings as a rebounder, that's one of his most sneaky. I put a sweet in my mouth and it's gave me a lisp. I'm gonna have to take it out and say, but that's one of his most underrated skill sets. He's a very, very, very good rebounder. And he can crash in from the weak side and get the glass. He can post up guys, box you out, get the glass that way. And he's good enough to hit them outlet passes. So not only is he going to be an offensive plus for you, he's got aspects on the defensive end pre-built in to the way he plays. Once you figure out how to use him as a defender, whether that's a weak side guy, whether he just needs to add muscle on, once he figures that out and understands how to navigate the court because he doesn't really have an elite burst, I think he's going to be like eighth man, ninth man in the rotation. I think he could really, really earn a high level rotation spot off that bench.
I agree. The question is now, do we find ways to give him more minutes? Again, this was Tatum Brown out, needed
Yeah.
to bolster up the roster, the rotation, things like that. So yeah, this was a perfect time for him to come in, and just looking at the other two-way players. But my thing is, like, when it comes to Baylor Shireman, we all knew he could shoot coming out of college. It was more of like him building the confidence, finding his rhythm, getting out there on the basketball court, and just letting the game slow down for him. Because NBA, we say it's in the NFL all the time, but I think this is just a professional sport caveat. The game is faster. The players are stronger.
Yeah.
The players are quicker. The players are bigger. The players are it's just it's the elite of the elite. Regardless where you get drafted, you're still elite when you make it into the association. And so for me, it's more like, all right, Baylor, I know you're going to struggle. You do well in May. I get it. I'm hoping Joe uses these bright moments, these little bright sides, and says, I got to find a way to give my guys some of these minutes, especially if I see the hustle, if I see the defense. I feel like the easiest way to earn minutes is defense. Like, right?
Yeah.
Everything else is extra. And I saw that last night. And I don't care if they were playing. They were playing against the Nets, and I don't care what the Nets record is or was. I don't care. Them cats was coming out to win and ball. Like, they were all looking to score 30. Every player was looking to drop 30 on the Celtics, especially when they found out Tatum and Brown wasn't going to play. They knew they had it in the bag.
It was. And I think that when you look at the way you want Baylor to become, and you look at the way that the minutes can be distributed, that's there between now and the end of the season to a stretch, right? Like, you need guys that are going to be able to play these minutes, but at the same time, there's no way you can have those expectations for the postseason because he's not going to play, right? And like you said,
Unless something.
unless, yeah,
Yeah.
and
And we don't want the unless, but at least we know we have the option, I guess.
yeah, I mean, I don't feel comfortable, but I get it. Like you said, he's one of the elite. We knew he was elite because he got drafted out of college. Once you wear that patch and you become part of that fraternity, that's it. You're one of less than 1,000 people or whatever it is now to have played in the NBA. It's 0.00000000001% of players get to go and play in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, you're elite, but the difference is elite has many levels, it has many tiers, and right now Baylor's at the bottom. And he's fortunate enough that he's not a two-way guy. He's on a full-scale deal, which
Yeah,
means
you're right.
he can play in the playoffs. Two-way guys aren't eligible for postseason basketball.
For sure.
So he is your oh shit, Sam Hauser can't play. He's your guy that you plug in because you don't have Svi, who you had last year, that would have been your plug-in guy. It is going to be Baylor now. In a world, do I feel like that's okay? One good game doesn't make me feel well or okay with the idea of him being your release valve on the perimeter, right? Like, he struggled with getting used to the speed of the NBA in the
Absolutely.
regular season. What do you think it's going to be like in the playoffs when not only are you against elite athletes, elite ballers, you're also against some of the most elite competitors, dudes that are not going to give you an inch. And when you're a rookie and you're still acclimating and the game's just moving that bit too quick for you, no, I don't feel comfortable about him in the postseason.
Listen, that's a fair assessment. Me, I'm all about getting thrown into the fire and finding out what the hell you are. That's me. That's my
That's fair.
competitive mentality. Like, I think about myself and just being thrown into these situations and got to figure out, am I going to come out or am I not going to come out?
That's fair.
And if he gets the opportunity, I'm not saying that you game plan and you put him in this rotation and have him, but I'm just saying at least you know that there can be
Yeah.
something there. His roles will be limited, but if he's given the green light to be himself, I think the best version would him going out there being himself would show up each and every night until instead of limiting him, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do now you're gonna play timid, now you're gonna play scared, now you're gonna play weird, right? Opposed to a game which doesn't really matter. Celtics are they have this playoff spot clinched. Well, the playoffs clinched. I believe they're going to finish in the second seed. I don't think that can change if I'm not mistaken. So we'll talk about that. But at the end of the day, I just feel like the two-way players won't be eligible. We talk about J.D. Davidson and maybe Drew Peterson. As far as two-way guys, unless I think we got one spot left.
One spot left. Who, funnily enough, an old friend Isaiah Thomas came out yesterday. I think it was like, yo,
No.
I wouldn't be opposed. Of course, you wouldn't be opposed. The team's about to challenge for a second chip. Of course, you'd be okay with coming off the bench or being a depth guy.
Let's have this conversation.
I'm against it 100%
Why?
because I'm very big on the fact that he built a legend of himself in Boston when he was born. When he was in Boston and he was the king of the fourth, he built himself like a story. He become a legend, right? A fan favorite. And by coming back now, all he's going to do is taint that memory because he's not that player. And as much as we accept the fact that he's not that player, you will always remember what he couldn't do on his second time with the team rather than what he did do during those runs with the team. I think it'd actually taint his legacy. So I've been against it from jump.
And I can't argue against that, but if he's still a scorer, I mean, if he can still
Yeah.
shoot, I mean, that is hard. Like, like there's older players than him in the NBA that are shooting still really well. Like,
It's just, are those older players, have they had the same hip issues? They don't get like he
totally
don't forget
listen,
he's not as big, as not as tall as these other
totally
dudes.
understand. And like, I understand why you're against it. I think most people would be against it. I don't think first of all, I don't think he would fit. Like, let's just have
Yeah,
that
for real.
conversation. Like I don't think he would fit the way this current Celtics team is even built. Like from a size standard, from a position standard, I don't even think he would fit on this version of the Boston Celtics. Maybe 6-7 years ago, maybe possibly, but not this version. And so I get it, man. But it's a cool story. Not gonna lie, it's a cool story. And if he did come back and return as some type of a coach or mentor or anything, that would be cool. But as far as a player, I think the Celtics are pretty much damn solid, like the way they
Yeah.
are. It's tough for me, Adam. I really don't see a team beating this team if a game had to go 7-7. If a series had to go to 7 games, I can't. I don't see any team taking us 7 games and winning. With the Celtics being a healthy unit out there on the basketball court. And I know it's a little premature because the playoffs haven't started yet, but we're gearing up. Playoffs are underway very shortly. Like the month of April is coming. Like the playoffs will be here sooner than we think. So I really just loved what I saw as far as ball movement in the last game. And Utah coming up. We got to go to Utah. We got a little road trip, right? A little 3-game road trip or something like that. We go to Utah, I believe. I know we got to play Phoenix. So we got to play Portland. So I think we'll be out that way, for the next several games. No Brown, maybe some Tatum.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tatum will play because Tatum always wants to play, right? And I
Yeah.
think that that's an important distinction there. If Tatum's healthy, he'll accept the occasional rest game, but for the majority of the time, he's going to ball out. Brown, on the other hand, he's had knee tendinopathy issues for years, and before, I think when Brad Stevens was still a coach, Brad even said it was one of those things that they'd need to manage for the rest of his career, and they have done. It's not really hindered him at all,
Okay, good.
but clearly you have to sit him once there's a heavy workload because you need to keep him fresh for the playoffs. Now the flip side of that is I
He'll be
think
rusty.
he can only miss 4 more games before he becomes ineligible for an all NBA team. And yeah,
No.
because you've got to play 65, right? So I think
He's at
he
58.
something like that. So if he misses like 4 more games, 5 more games, he's ineligible.
Oh, so he's gonna play,
Yeah,
right?
because obviously, like,
He's not that injured.
well, it's not so much that, like, he's not that injured for sure, but I think it's also part of, like, becoming an all NBA guy has a big knock on effect for your Hall of Fame credentials. It has a knock on
Okay.
effect for,
Okay.
we know he's on a supermax right now, but if he wants to earn another big time contract at the end of this one, hey, during this contract, I was all NBA second team, all NBA first team, finals MVP. Like, the bigger resume you can build that way, the more cachet you have when you sit down at that negotiating table. So
Okay.
between that, and I think that he might miss 1 or 2 of these games, and I genuinely think the Celtics are going to keep him 1 game under that threshold.
Okay. I mean, like I want Jalen Brown out there on the basketball
Me
court.
too.
I know his probably you could say his worst game of the season might have been against OKC. I guess he did leave the last game
That's
with the
back issues,
with the
yeah.
back issues, right? You talked about the knees, and so now there's the back. I just think it's all precautionary, right? Like it's. I don't think it's going to be anything serious. I think Jalen Brown, playoff Jalen Brown, is a different Jalen Brown. I think we've seen that. I think he's proven that, right? I think
Yeah,
Jason Tatum, this is the year where Jason Tatum lets the whole NBA know why he's Jason Tatum. Like, right? Like, I think this is all part of the game plan for the Boston Celtics. And I'm not saying Tatum can't shine with Jalen Brown here. I know people going to watch this and be like, what? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, Tatum has been hands down top 5 player in the NBA this year, right? And so
unquestionable.
it has to be unquestionable. I mean, if we go through if we just name 5 players and don't rank them, I think you talk about Jokic, you talk about SGA, you got to talk about Jason Tatum, and then where are we going? Is it Steph? Is it Donovan Mitchell? Like, where are we going with the next three? But Tatum has to be
Yeah, for sure.
in that conversation, and so I would love to see Tatum come out here, command his troops on this road trip that they have, and just keep the team afloat, man. Like maybe see Tatum more the playmaking Tatum, get him more involved and things like that. And then when he needs to take over, he takes over the game. We had that conversation, and it happened. It started to happen. Remember, we said, "Listen, we need Tatum to be the motherfucking man when he need to be the motherfucking man." And then Tatum started becoming the man when he was like, "All right, man, here we go." Like he just flipped the button, and that's the Tatum. That's I don't know if you want to call it the Mamba factor or what, but that's the Tatum that we need, and I'm watching him grow right before our eyes.
Yeah, Tatum, when he wants to, he's just taking over. I still kind of believe, and you're a music guy, so you'll get this reference, but I still kind of believe his best role is as a metronome.
Yeah,
You know what I
he's the
mean?
flow. Yeah,
Yeah, I
the
think that
heartbeat.
that's his best role. Now, do I still want to see him just take over a game, drop 60 on a full? Yeah, I do. And I'd like that 60-point night to come against Cleveland, to be quite honest with you. Uh
I hear you, bro. Which
game
is,
one
but you
against
can
the
have it.
Cavs.
Yeah,
That'll be the one. Game one against the Cavs on the Cavs home floor. Tatum walks in, drops 60 on you fools. That
statement game.
is, yeah, that's it then, dude. But overall, yeah, I think you do need Tatum to just step up a little bit more. I think that he heard a lot of the noise last year. You could
For
see,
sure.
and he's been more aggressive getting to the rim this year. He's got more counters to his game. He just looks unstoppable when he's coming off that perimeter and driving downhill. Kind of just frightening, dude. The dude's so big. So yeah, I believe that we're gonna have some big nights from him. I don't think he's gonna be this guy that's looking to take every shot because that's just not him.
Hmm.
But I think when their backs are against the wall, if it's like fourth quarter tight game, Tatum's gonna be the guy that brings you home.
And it's funny that you said that because we talked about the king of the fourth. Like that would be a dope role to come in, talk to the young kid. Hey, listen, the young fella, like you just flip the
That
switch. You
here,
know what I'm
son in
saying?
him.
When you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like
I
you
get
you
it.
know, and so like just as a mentor, not as a player. It's a big difference, right? Just
Yeah,
as a
for
person to
sure.
talk to. Like
I mean, IT's got unk status at this point.
he's unk status at this point for sure, and he knows that. And I don't think he's really. I don't think he wants to accept that role. But listen, it, if you watching, dude, you unk right now, man. Right now, you should be offering your support for the team in the green. I know you still love to play, but it's okay. It's okay, man. They got you. Find a way to join this roster and get you a championship ring, man. Um, But again, man, like the Celtics just moving forward right now. You said it, man. It's just pace. It's them. It's like in my terms of musicianship, when you do certain types of gigs, at the restaurants or nightclubs or whatever, we call those gigs paid rehearsals. I feel like these games that the Celtics have left are paid rehearsals to gear up for the NBA playoffs because the
Oh, for
Celtics are
sure.
looking to get another championship.
I completely 100% agree. These like it's an easy schedule from here on out, and that's no disrespect, but it is. Even the Suns, like the Suns are sunning right now. That's all I can say about that. With that, what I'm going to say is, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to go hit that subscribe button. Go show some love to Wayne Breezy over on Instagram and Facebook. I'm going to be slowly moving my stuff over onto Instagram more frequently, so show me love there too. And make sure to sign up to the Celtics Chronicle newsletter. Links in the description. Everybody, catch you next Wednesday. Peace.